What's up, Indiana? Welcome to Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Oh, it's been a tough week to be a fan of Indiana sports. Unless you're a volleyball fan, the Indy Ignite continue to roll. We will talk the college football national championship game, college hoops, some Colts news, wrap it up with some Pacers. A lot to do. Thanks for joining. Saddle up. Indy Sports Nation, let's go. Good afternoon and welcome to Indy Sports Nation, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join. Good to be back here in studio with y'all in the great yet very cold city of Indianapolis. I hope your week has been a great one. Hopefully it's been much better than mine, at least from a sports perspective. Yikes. We'll dive into that. A lot to discuss there. As I mentioned, tough week for a lot of local teams, unless you're the Indy Ignite or the Notre Dame women's hoops. The ladies are keeping the winning going around here, so shout out to them. Got to give them some love. But we'll discuss the national championship game from Monday. We'll talk a little Indy Ignite, talk the Colts' new defensive coordinator hire. Get us some college hoops, and we'll have a special guest at the end to talk some Pacers. So loaded show for you. Can't wait to dive into it. But as you know, before we can do all of that, we got to give some love to our amazing sponsors, because without them, we are not here. Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Give them a look. They've got great stuff. Goes without saying, we have a new sponsor, Raw Nutrition, which I'm hoping we'll have a commercial for them soon, but I'll give them a little plug here on the other side. So once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join, whether it's live with me here or on the replay. Appreciate y'all so much. So let's get these bills paid, and we will dive into it on the other side. Thanks for joining your boy here, Big Mike, on Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much once again for taking time to join us. Got to give a shout out to our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. GetRawNutrition.com. Use promo code IESR, get 10% off. So if you're a supplement person, get on there, get some great supplements, save some money. All the good stuff, right? If you'd be so kind, hit me up on the old X or Twitter, whatever you still call it. Show page at Indy Sports_IESR. Or can follow my personal account at The Chill Mike. If you're watching live, feel free to comment on the socials, on YouTube, whichever way you're checking me out. Regardless, much appreciated. If you're watching the replay, you'll hit me up on the socials. Love to interact. Always PG and sports related. That's all I ask. We'll check a few that are coming in here already. My boy Taryn checking in. Have a great show. Appreciate you. Checked him out earlier in his SoCal show. Good stuff. Notre Dame did have an amazing season. We're going to jump into that here right now, actually. Let's get this going here a bit. We'll go the old we won't do the green for them today. Since they wore the navy and gold, we'll go the navy here. But, yeah, I mean, look, 34-23 defeat to Ohio State. Look, it was a great run. I mean, I think most people after the disaster early in the season, losing to Northern Illinois at home, just kind of thought this team was probably going to be done. And when I say done, probably not making a playoff. They're probably losing another game on the way and, you have some bowl game or something like that. But they did not. Obviously, they rallied. Every game from there on out was a playoff game for them. And just the massive improvement. You could see it from game to game. And Freeman had these guys running around, just clocking people in the skull, everything. I've been saying it for the past few months. I've been lucky enough to do some guest spots on other shows, just talking about how just that culture has changed. It's not the same Notre Dame would go in on their heels. They were on their toes all season and just punching you in the mouth. Unfortunately, from on Monday night, that second quarter just got away from them, and that was really it. I mean, otherwise they played them toe to toe. It just got out of hand that second quarter, and it was just too much to overcome. Now, what an effort in the second half to come back, and they put themselves where they actually had a puncher's chance. Now, Wasn't a great chance, but because when you get down 31-7 to a team like an Ohio State, love them or hate them, chances are you're not coming back. And we'll get into it briefly here. I thought the opening drive from Notre Dame was needed, but I wasn't doing cartwheels over it, right? Because I've seen enough Ohio State. I think a lot of us have. Their draw, again, love them, hate them. They're on, Fox all the time. You can't ever like get away from Ohio State football. You just, even if you want to, it's everywhere. Trust me, I've tried. But I digress. That draw, Ohio State, a lot of the time this season, even if they may have not given up a touchdown on that opening drive, teams were moving the ball on them. Yeah, they may give up a touchdown, they may give up 3, and they might get lucky enough not to give up much of anything. But heck, even Purdue is awful. Moved the ball in the first drive against Ohio State. It's almost kind of like they do that on purpose, just to kind of see what it's a chess match. Okay, let's see what they're coming out with. What was impressive about the drive is how much time it ate up. That was cool to me. I'm like, holy wow, almost 10 minutes off the clock. This is great. That's what you want to do, is keep that high-powered offense off the field as much as possible, right? So after they score, I'm like, all right, okay, Notre Dame, if you can get a stop here, and I don't necessarily mean a 3 and out. I'm just saying, heck, hold them to 3. That's your defense. That's your strong point, right? And Ohio State answered right away. And I'm like, okay, well, now it puts more pressure on Notre Dame's offense, and that's not really how they're built. And Ohio State made their tweaks like they always do, got the ball back, and drive back down the field, and it's 14-7. At that point, I started to worry because I mentioned it on my show and last week that I really was interested in how the D-line of Notre Dame would match up against the O-line of Ohio State. They've been saying injuries at Ohio State all year. I don't buy that as an excuse for them. That team is deep. And so is Notre Dame, for crying out loud. So it's next man up, and they've been next man up in the all season, right? No pressure from Notre Dame, none. Excuse me. So Will Howard had a day and a half back there. We could put a lawn chair back there the whole bit. Would not have. It was insane. So when you give them that much time, those receivers of his, they're going to they'll find space. They just will. I don't care how good the defense is. And that's what happened. The next thing you know, it's 31-7. And at that point, pretty much, I actually turned it off. It was like, okay, the game's over. So then, of course, I turn it back on and see Notre Dame answer, and then let's just fast forward to the point where they go for the field goal, right? I know people were losing their mind over this. I actually liked it, and I might be in the minority here, but it's okay. I've seen Ohio State's red zone defense this year. A lot of us have. It's ridiculous. They win almost every time in those situations, so I have no problem going for points against a defense like that. Jeter's a very reliable kicker, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But mind you, had he made that, with how the game, ended up going, and they're able to make that stop at the, late in the fourth quarter, Notre Dame gets the ball back, could possibly go to win the game. I know hindsight's 2020. Obviously, I get all that. But I didn't mind the call. And look, I know Al Golden took some heat for that defensive scheme there, but look, I don't know what other choice he had. I know people are saying, how can you leave him that wide open? Yeah, fair. I get it. But he runs another scheme, another defense. He's going to get – Ohio State's going to find receivers over the middle, and they're still going to probably convert the first down. He had to find a way to get some sort of – even though it hasn't really worked most of the game, but whether that's just getting a face in, or a hand in the face of Howard, or not to the face, in the face, you know what I mean? Just to kind of get him off balance, have him roll out, maybe throw a pass off balance, so something like that, so it's in a complete pass. Didn't work out. The result is what it is. Look, it's Notre Dame was a 9-point dog. There's a reason for that. And just worked out how it worked out, unfortunately, for Notre Dame. But and in some Notre Dame news, in case you have not heard, but Al Golden has left Notre Dame. He will no longer be the DC. He is going back to the NFL to be the DC for the Cincinnati Bengals. So good for him. He's going back there. He's got connections there. He was a linebackers coach there back in the I can't remember how many years ago it's been, but I want to say like 7-8 years, something like that. Maybe I may be off, but look, Notre Dame's got a bright future. I think Marcus Freeman has made that kind of a cool school again, if you know what I mean. Like, he's starting to get some good recruits. A few guys have went to the transfer portal already, but it's not many. And I think one of them's a special teams guy, and that was about it. So, great season for Notre Dame, and a very, very bright future. They're just going to reload and just continue getting better. Ralph chiming in. He'll be going on air tonight about 8 o'clock, talking all things Pittsburgh, but made some good comment here. The first drive took a lot out of that offense. Well, you're not entirely wrong, because Riley Leonard was on the sideline vomiting over it. So you're not entirely wrong there, but unfortunately the defense couldn't do much, especially in that second quarter. So it was most unfortunate. But hey, like I said, kudos to Ohio State. I mean, love them or hate them, and I'm on the ladder. I'm not a fan. I never will be a fan, but they're a very, very, very good team. So, we'll move on here. I want to get into the quick Colts news here, if you will. We talked on this last week there in the search, and Lou Anarumo is the new defensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. And as you can imagine, here locally, that was met with a lot of chuckles. Or meh type look. I mean, and it's kind of funny, though, because I talked to a few people in the Cincinnati market, just people I know through work and whatnot, and they were actually like, hey, he's actually pretty good. They lost some talent, and they did not do a good job of backfilling that talent that Cincinnati lost. Mind you, it wasn't that long ago they were in a Super Bowl, and their defense was pretty solid. And, they lost Bates and goes to Atlanta and whatnot, and they just really did not fill it. I think that's kind of the thing. So so when I heard that take, I was like, so it's basically like the take here in Indianapolis. So Chris Ballard really hasn't did enough to support the defense, and he's admitted that 2 straight years now. So as a fan, I know a lot of people are just like, meh. And I get it. I'm kind of there too. But the changes it's twofold for me. Okay. There has to be some personnel changes. I've mentioned it a million times. The Colts do have a few pieces there of some decent talent, no doubt about it. I mentioned Buckner, Kenny Moore, Zaire, and like him or hate him right now. I mean, he's still solid. Stewart, solid. Latu, we'll see. He's a rookie, but so there's some pieces there. There's going to need some personnel to help, no doubt about it. They got to do something on that in the offseason. However, what I do like is he does scheme different, and really the Colts are always just kind of the same thing. It's the same cover 3, keep everything in front of you, and it's pretty much just let teams march down the field. And it's the same thing, recipe every game, where, Lou does a little bit more switching around, giving different looks. Personally, I'd rather see anything different than what we've seen the past couple of years. So, okay. We'll see. We'll see what they do. It's going to be a big, very, very important offseason for this Indianapolis Colts team, because, I mean, people are on the hot seat, and, we'll see what they do. I mean, it's reported that Anthony Richardson's now going to be working with the throwing coach, same throwing coach that Josh Allen's has worked with over the years. So, a lot of what ifs and a lot of who knows, but we'll see. That's all I can say about it, is we will see. But as I mentioned in the last show, a lot less Colts talk, obviously, and college football being done now, and which is kind of sad. But so a lot less football talk going forward. Obviously, any big news, we'll discuss it. But I do want to bring up the ladies of the Indy Ignite are undefeated, starting off 3-0. What a match. What a match Saturday night in Columbus. Wow. I'm just going to give you a few quick, bird's eye views here, but 5-setter. Indy takes the first set 25-18. The second set 32-30. Holy cow. Columbus answers back for a 25-19 win and a 25-22 win, just for the Ignite to win it in the fifth, 15-11. I mean, what a match! Just back and forth, just great atmosphere in Columbus there. Fantastic. Member minute, 29 kills, 18 digs, 1 ace. Caroline Crawford, who's our middle blocker, 8 kills, 7 blocks. Center Sydney Hilly, 54 assists, 18 digs, 1 block, 1 ace. These girls are playing well. I encourage you to give them a look tonight. They're on the road. They're in San Diego tonight, so maybe a little bit late for you after a long week. But 10 o'clock start tonight. And they'll be back here next weekend, actually here in Indy, I believe on Sunday. So I'm hoping I can go check them out just because it's intense. The atmosphere is great, and they're playing some very good volleyball right now. So have to give them some love because as I mentioned, it's them and the Notre Dame women who, by the way, handled Boston College last night. So it's the women here who are showing us the winning ways as of late. So we will, speaking of that, we'll move, we'll get a break in here real quick, but I want to get into the rest of the terrible week that it was in college before we touch on the Pacers. So we'll talk some Purdue, IU, and a little bit of Butler on the other side. So once again, thank you so much for joining. We'll get this quick break in and be right back here on Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
The roar of the crowd, the drama and pageantry, the adrenaline rush and decadence of the world of professional wrestling. Join yours truly, the SoCal Saint, for the best pro wrestling podcast going today, the IE Wrestling Show, exclusively on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Join us every Wednesday from 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, every Wednesday, the IE Wrestling Show. It's just too woo!
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Let's jump in to some hoops, as we discussed. I don't know if you saw the Butler UConn game, but man, that's just what Butler has been this year. It's just in those games they're in it, they just can't figure out a way to close it and get a win. It's the second time against UConn. Now, granted, UConn is not there, at least at this point. We saw how they flipped the switch last year. And come February, they started figuring it out, and nobody was going to touch them. And it's not been the case so much yet for them. We'll see. But if you ask our coach, he's the best in the land. So, like, we all saw that quote, or wasn't a quote. I guess he was screaming at the official, but it's just what he does. But yeah, overtime loss. 80-78. It's just one of those years for Butler. And Telfort had a great game, 11-23 from the field. I mean, he didn't hit a three, which is, that's tough. He was an 0 from 3-point range, but 25 points. And, he's been doubled a lot just because, as I've said, throughout the course of the season, Butler just doesn't have a ton outside of him and Brooks. And so typically you take one of those two out, which they did. Brooks, in 34 minutes had 2 points. He was active on the boards. He grabbed 7 rebounds, but I mean, you gotta get more production out of him in a game like that. And, that's what UConn kind of does. They'll lock her guy down. Now, Bizjack, who's been inconsistent, is probably putting it nicely and sometimes infuriating, came in with 17 and Green with 13 off the bench. But it goes back to shooting again. This team still struggles to shoot. And it feels like I feel like I'm a broken record with these guys, but 26% from three, under 50% from the field. Meanwhile, you've got Connecticut, they didn't have the best shooting night either, but 35% from three, and then 48 from the field. So just a game like that's where you just, you have a better team on the ropes, so to speak, and that's just been the story of the season. I don't know what Butler will do after this year. I mean, recruiting class does look promising, but, do they stick with Thad? I mean, there's history here. There's, Thad's had a good career. I'll be interested to see kind of what they do here. And again, I know a lot of it will depend on how the rest of the season goes, right? So, but with that, let's move over to IU. And, last week, and I should say just last week, but let's just be honest, it's been pretty much the entire length of this show. I've been hard on this team, and I think kind of rightfully so. And again, I keep saying it. There's too much talent on paper for this team to be this bad. Now, after we went off air Friday, they tipped off at Ohio State, and just neither team wanted to win that game. That was one of the worst basketball games I think I've watched in the college, at least this season in college hoops. Not saying I'm sure there's been worse. Don't get me wrong, but I have to think that it's definitely one of the worst that I've laid eyes on. And they finally get that lead late in the second. And you're like, okay. Lose about 10 points. All right. Not bad. Go on the road. You've been struggling. Get a good road win. And next thing you know, it's going to overtime. And then Ohio State had a chance to win that. It was, they kind of rushed that last second shot there. I felt like he could have squared up and took a better shot, but he didn't, and it worked out in IU's favor. And what drove me nuts, and I love, this is where I love hearing comments here, because this team has been, I know that those people say, well, Mike, come on now. They're now 14-6. They're not doing that bad. But again, they don't have a quality win. I mean, what I would consider a quality win, okay, they beat Penn State. Okay. All right, cool. But this team they're beating people they should beat, sure. And then, again, when they do get a decent opponent, they get whooped. So they get out there with the win, and I just, the body language, I just don't love it. I mean, I understand to me, it should have been more of like a relief. Like, oh, geez, like, finally, we got that win. Finally, we got a road win. Now we can maybe start turning that corner like we were a couple weeks ago. And Woodson got a big old smile on his face. I mean, some of these guys are jumping up and down like they just won a Big Ten championship. And that always irritates me. I don't care what team it is. I mean, I don't know. And maybe I'm being a little too hard, and that's fine. I still feel like as talented as this team is, it's okay. But to get the win nonetheless, and then they turn around and go to Northwestern. So Northwestern coming into this game is 11-7. But you know what's funny, and I didn't even realize this until the game itself. Mike Woodson was 0-4 going into this game against Northwestern. It's Northwestern. You're Indiana. You're Indiana basketball. You're okay. I'm not going to go crazy. Keep it cool here, but so it's just felt this one. I'm like, okay, now he's got to get off the schneid. It's going to happen. They're going to get this win. And then they give up 54 points in the second half. Ty Berry of Northwestern during 7 3-pointers. I mean, it was 31-25 Indiana at half, and they ended up losing 79-70. I feel like, and I know I get it. It's crazy because the Big Ten is still, nobody's running away with this thing. I mean, they're just not. I mean, Michigan State looks to be, as of right now, the team to beat, which I think I projected as my dark horse, or even when I was doing preview a few months back. I just like the way they were playing at the end of the year. So, I use 5-4 in a conference. They host Maryland. You would think that's, one they could get, but then again, you look at the predictor right now. Matchup predictor has a 60% chance of Maryland winning this game at Assembly Hall. So I don't know. I don't know what happens here. Manu's back. Okay, he's a good player, no doubt about it. But him and Ballo just, I don't know. I want to get too far gone here, but it's funny because as bad as it looks, I mean, they could still they have time to turn things around and make a run. Do I think they will? No, I don't see anything with this team right now that thinks where I think they can. Should they? That's a different story because I think the talent's there. I just don't know the coaching's there. So not to beat a dead horse, but that is kind of where we're at, unfortunately. So, but I'm going to move to what I think maybe even a little bit bigger story. I know there's Mike going to his bias again. Here he goes. And that was the disaster of Purdue this week. I mean, that was bad. I was really hyped up because you go out west, you get the Washington wins, the Oregon win, and those were ugly. As I told you, I think that was the worst half of basketball I've seen Purdue play in Washington. Rally the second half, turn it around, get a win. Go to Oregon on the road, a higher-ranked team at Oregon, get the win. So I'm like, okay. This was good. Come back home to Ohio State. Ohio State's not a great basketball team, but one thing you say about them is they can get streaky. So Purdue is up 16 late in the first half. This thing is shaping up to be just Purdue's going to run them out of the gym, which probably what should happen. Then they give up a late three. Okay, fine, whatever. You can kind of live with that. So they take a 13-point lead in the half. Ohio State gets the ball first possession, boom, three. So 2 bad defensive stretches there. And then what should have been a 16-point lead is now 10, basically just like that. And then next thing you know, it's tied. Within 4 minutes, the game's tied. And the whole time I'm still in my mind kind of watching this going, nah, surely they'll make a run. Purdue will make a run. And they did. They got like a 7-8-0 run, I think it was. And then boom, Ohio State came right back. The lack of defense and the lack of attention in that second half especially was just awful for Purdue. And man, Parrish couldn't miss. I mean, Micah Parrish was just, I think he hit 6 threes, I think, in the second half. It was crazy. He shot 80% from the field for the game. Ohio State as a team, I believe at half they were shooting at 30% from the three. I think as a team they shot almost 70% from three, and that's what happened with the Penn State loss too. They just bad perimeter defense, and they just gave up shot after shot after shot after shot. And you know how this game goes when you get hot like that. I mean, a lot of things can go bad for you if you're for Purdue in this case, because they couldn't answer. They had 3 possessions in the second half, in the last 10 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, and or they had, 3, maybe actually might have been 4 open looks, 5 feet from the hoop, missed all of them. So you can't hit water from a boat. Meanwhile, these guys are chucking 3-pointers from Gary, Indiana, and hitting them. So the second half was just a complete disaster. But interesting stat, that's the first time in 2 years that Purdue lost in Mackey. So you're hoping that you're going with the theory that, all streaks do have to come to an end, right? But a big game tonight. Big game tonight. 8 o'clock on Fox against Michigan. It's Dusty May in Michigan for those Indiana folks who wish that he would have been your coach at IU, and probably should have been, but neither here nor there. He's got Michigan in 21st, second in the Big Ten currently, right behind Michigan State. This is a big game for Purdue. They've got to get this win tonight, in my eyes. You do not want to come back after that West Coast swing, and I know that part of that, there might have been some fatigue in that second half from that West Coast trip. That's probably true. So you kind of hope that's just a one-off. They've rested up. They're a little bit more focused, and they get a win tonight. The last thing you want to see this do if you're a Purdue fan is start, you don't want to see this thing spiral out of control here. So I need to see a big game from Coughlin Wren tonight. They got to shoot the ball better. They got to find easier shots, better shots. They haven't shot the ball well in like past 4 or 5 games, so they've got to figure that out. That goes without saying. So, and that's gonna be must-see TV tonight. I think 8 o'clock on Fox. So it's it won't be 11 after this week, but number 11 Purdue and 21 Michigan should be a battle. So on that, we'll get our last break in before we bring in our special guest. So Pacers talk the rest of the way. So again, welcome any comments. Thank you for those who have chimed in already, whether it's here or on the socials. Much appreciated. So like I said, last break, and we will get to Pacers talk on the other side. Indy Sports Nation on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Heading to our last segment here, but before we do that, just a quick reminder. If you haven't checked out our website, iusportsradio.com, go check it out. Click on bios of all the hosts across the country, as I've mentioned in the past, and try to mention as much as I can. And we've got you covered pretty much coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, if you will. Also have some great deals on merch. So tanks, hats, tees, you name it, go check it out. Give us some support. We greatly appreciate it. We are waiting on our guest here, which I think will be on here in the next minute or two. And we'll get into some quick Pacers talk here. But before we do that, just kind of stall here for just a second, I guess. Did want to do a quick shout out to the women's hoops teams. I didn't mention Butler or IU or Purdue, but just a quick second on them real fast. It's still a rebuild at Purdue. They've, Purdue and IU both have hit that USC, UCLA gauntlet. And those teams are just killing it on the women's side, along with Ohio State kind of working in the background. But not been quite the year for the IU women. I believe they're 4-3 in conference play now. Just lost to Illinois. I thought they played, those top teams pretty well. You kind of expect maybe to lose those, but then losing to, a tough one, Illinois, it was, that was tough. So they're kind of hanging middle of the pack right now. Meanwhile, the Butler women are still, they're doing a little bit better than the men, but kind of bottom third of the Big East right now. So once again, kudos to the Notre Dame women for keeping us going here on a winning culture, if you will. Hopefully we can these other teams can right the way here sooner than later. So I think with that said, it looks like our guest has arrived. So we'll bring him in. We're going to welcome him back. My Pacers guru. And now officially official proud papa of one Miles Turner.
Yes, the one and only.
George, how the heck are you, brother?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I cannot complain. But first question for you before we dive into the Pacers, how much sleep are you getting?
It's been a change. I'm an old man. I was bed at 9 o'clock every night, and I was up decently early, but yeah, Mama and I are taking turns, but definitely not enough sleep. I'll say that.
Yep. I remember the days very, very well, and as you see here, Emma chimes in with George. Even though she's 20, I still remember those days very, very well. Well, glad everybody is healthy, and granted, sleep deprived maybe, but healthy.
Yes.
So last time you were on here, we were talking Pacers, and we were pretty concerned because it was like, what's going on with this team? We had the injuries. Halliburton was just not quite himself. And now fast forward, let's take yesterday's game out of the equation for a second. In the last 18 games, this team is ranked 5th in defense. What happened?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I've got a few theories. I think you realize how much we missed Nimby when he was out.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, I don't know that the casual fan really appreciated that. I think they do now. I don't know if you have any additional thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, defense was the key to this turnaround, obviously. We talked about on last time I was on kind of what the reason they were struggling was. Last year, they were scoring so many points, they didn't have to play defense. This year, some of that point scoring's gone down, so defense needed to step it up. But yeah, with Nemby in the lineup, I mean, defense has really turned it around. And you and I have talked. We cannot believe that we're saying good defense in Indiana in the same sentence.
I know. I'm not sure if feels like maybe the ground's getting cold. Well, it is here in Indy. It's been cold for like a month. But should I go to Vegas and make a crazy bet? I don't know. I can't remember the last time we said Pacers and defense in positive way in the same sentence.
Yeah, like you said, totally taken away yesterday because no defense was played. Too many croissants over there in Paris, I think. But prior to that, they were on a hot streak there, and I think we'll get one back tomorrow.
And that was my hope too, honestly, dude. I was just going over there with it's homecoming for Wemby. They'll probably get one there. I was just hoping I was hoping the Pacers would get the first one, so I'll feel a little bit better about it. But you're right, that defense, I think they left it here in Indianapolis yesterday.
Yeah, the Pacers as the home team yesterday, and yesterday's matchup, as we knew that was definitely not going to happen.
And I'm off. I mean, I think it's cool they're getting to go over there and do all this, and I mean, I don't mind it. But I know they keep deeming them the home team. It's like just give the Spurs both home games. I don't even care.
Yeah, you already know what it is. You and I talked to. I think these road trips are really good for teams. They get to go over there. It's a longer trip. They spend time with their teammates, things like that. Not that I think the Pacers really need it. I think the team gels really well and has good chemistry, but kind of those chemistry building type things that help out, and cool for the international fans as well too. So I'm all for it.
Yep. So speaking of that, another get, even though he's kind of working back in the minutes, is Neesmith. This is where I'm gonna take Paris, regardless of what happens, kind of out of it here, and when they come back here, I'm excited for this, and I hope that with this 18 games where they were fifth in defense, I don't expect it to stay there. But man, with him back, I do like the defense he does play when he does play it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that can stay above middle of the pack at least. And I think that gives us a real shot to make a good run.
He's one of those guys too that definitely feeds off the game that you're playing. So if it's a chippy, kind of like you had in Detroit the other night, you got a chippy, fired up game. Everyone's talking crazy to each other. That's when I think he plays his best, which come playoff time, I mean, that's how all the games are going to be. So that's what we need.
Yep. What's your feeling right now with all the, injuries that the team's had over the course of the first half of the year? What's your thought process now on Jarris Walker? I've, at least from my standpoint, feel like maybe the game is slowing down a little bit for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, when you think about it, technically his rookie year, because as much as we begged for it, Rick did not give him minutes last year. You can do all you want in the G League, but the G League is the G League. So he's come in, he's shown really bright flashes. The game we were at earlier in the year where the whole stadium was chanting his name. But he seems like he's starting to kind of figure it out. Like you said, things are slowing down. He's playing a little bit better, more mature. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed too is even with the Knights that his box score doesn't look necessarily ideal. The dude does hustle out there.
Oh yeah,
more times than not, and I would actually give him a little bit of the credit too from just improved defense, because even if in some of the games I've watched, yeah, he may only have 6 points or something like that, but you'll find out, he had a couple steals, or he locked down so and so on this play that opened up an 8-0 run or something like that for the Pacers.
Yeah, and he's kind of one of those guys too that I think the team feeds off of. As he's gotten more comfortable, You noticed a lot when he first started getting minutes. He was always looking for the bucket. Now he realizes, I think he's got a spot on this team. He belongs, so he's looking for his teammates. And that's really when this team thrives, is when the ball's moving around quick.
Yes, that's exactly right. And for those my out-of-market people who are watching, if you haven't, you're the fun pacer team to watch is when that ball is just moving around quick, just quick ball movement. And it's when it's clicking, it's fun to watch. And unfortunately, when it's not, it's
it's really not. I.e. yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, and I think Mather and the team had, to your point, too many croissants, and yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I think they said, correct me if I'm wrong too, the Spurs might have had an extra day or two over there as well.
I think you're right.
To acclimate and stuff like that. So, I mean, not that that's an excuse. I think they had it. Pacers were there. They did exploring and stuff like that. So they had a fair amount of time. I don't think they got a good practice session in before the game. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Like you said, hopefully they can get tomorrow's game, get a split, and get out of Dodge.
Stay healthy.
Yep, stay healthy. That's key right now. So let me ask you this. I talked about this too, but I thought I'd dive a little bit more into it. Wow, I'll be first to admit it. I liked when they brought in Thomas Bryant. I was a fan of that initially. I was like, okay, that's cool, homecoming, and likable dude. And man, what a get!
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I saw it, and obviously hate me, but I was like, okay, IU kid, that's awesome. Yeah. Comes up to Indiana, but he wasn't all that impressive in Miami. I don't know that he had the time to be all that impressive, but I definitely wasn't thinking he was going to be, I won't say permanent, but I didn't think he was going to be the fix for the rest of the year at the backup at 5. I thought there was still another move to be made. And here we are, and we're talking about okay, what do we do when Wiseman and Ijax are back? Because this dude's playing good.
Yeah, and that was the lead to my question. That was something we had discussed too, is now what? When those guys come back, where does this, what happens now? I mean, you let Bryant walk after. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the year goes, obviously. But assuming he's able to kind of still find his way and keep contributing the way he's contributing, how do you let him go?
Yeah, I don't think you can. I
agree.
Glad I am not the one who has to make that decision. We kind of discussed it a little bit. We've seen Ijax. I think Wiseman's potential is a little bit higher than Ijax per se, and that's the only reason I would lean toward keeping Wiseman and doing whatever you have to do with Ijax, but there's no way. After the way he's played, you can't get rid of Bryant after this.
No. And I think I agree with you on the Wiseman piece as well. Does his health factor in? It's in his first injury. Yeah, but to your point, I'm glad this is where I'm going. All right, Buchanan. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not you in this case. I might want your paycheck, but I'm not sure I'm you with that decision.
Yeah, no, that'd be nice.
Yeah, right. So one more question. I think I know the answer to this, but I thought I'd at least bring it up because it always gets talked about because we're coming up on the trade deadline. To me, there's A, it's what's out there, and B, do you really want to mess with this? And you got Turner coming up on a contract.
Re-sign him. Lifetime contract.
Yeah. I mean, I would. Yeah. I mean, if they were to make a move, they're going to either. They're going to be trade a bunch of pieces away, and then the guy's probably going to be a loaner deal anyway. So to me, I just don't think there's nothing that you need to do at this point. I mean, you're still. I don't think you really could do, to be honest.
No, I mean, last year was huge. At the trade deadline with Siakam, we were all excited because that's the first time in what felt like forever that we were buyers at the deadline. But really, I think right now the goal should be to continue to get healthy, which, we're kind of getting there right now. Knock on wood. And this team, I mean, they showed you together they can play well. They can went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So, like you said, maybe a minor piece here or there. I don't even really know what that would be, but there's no one on this team that I'm saying hey, I want this guy out of here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, we're getting back to the point where the bench is, kind of looking more and more like the bench of last year. Obviously McConnell's still doing his thing. Jarris has contributed. Obviously, having Shepard back's been good. And then obviously Bryant now giving Miles a breather. It's starting to look, again, take yesterday out of it, that they might have maybe figured something out here, and hopefully can just build on that going forward. I mean, like we said, hopefully they can get a win tomorrow, and you got the Pistons coming back, waiting for you, which, to me should be another win.
Yeah, you would think. I think I'm glad that we've kind of started putting things together, because when we weren't playing so well, some of those trade rumors, whether it was Obi Toppin, Jarris, I'm like, stop, people, just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. That Obi Toppin and TJ connection is just, I mean, I'm not letting that guy go.
No, I'm glad you brought him up too, and I've probably not given him as much love on this show as I should, but no, I'm glad he's here. The way him and McConnell flow on the court, I do like that a lot.
Yeah, he's big, he's explosive, he can shoot the 3-ball, and he can also dunk on you. So he's awesome. The energy, I mean, it's just fun.
No, you're right. I mean, the energy when he comes in, and we've seen it at Gamebridge when he drives lane, he gets a dunk, the place just, that roof almost comes off the place. It doesn't matter what point of the game it is.
Yeah, throw down a reverse windmill in game, just like it's nothing. Like, okay.
Yep. Yeah. If anything, it's a fun highlight reel.
Exactly.
Oh, well, man, can't believe this went quick. We're almost coming up on the hour already. It's nuts.
Yeah, that's cool.
So another thing, what was I going to say here? Pull up my banner here real quick. Here we go. We got to give you a little bit of a pub here, my friend. How's the Naptown Bourbon Project going?
It's going good, man. We're almost to 1,000 followers on TikTok, so having some fun with it. Took a week or so off with the birth of the baby. Obviously had better things going on, but no, it's been fun. Having a good time with it, doing some live type stuff, kind of like this, kind of getting used to. I'm not super comfortable with that stuff yet, but no, it's a good time.
No, and I encourage everybody to check it out. If you're on TikTok, go give them a follow at Naptown Bourbon. Our boy Charlie chimed in here. I actually thought he's going to give you some IU trash, so I'm actually a little disappointed now. So yes, and congratulations to you and Ash again on birth of baby Miles, as I put up here on the banner.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, and just for those of you who don't know, it got some very, very good press coverage here in the city of Indianapolis, and the Pacers' Miles Turner is aware of it, and had some very, very nice things to say about it. So I thought that was actually really cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. The wife and I were in the hospital loving all the stuff we were getting. The nurses were too. Kid was less than 24 hours old and already on the news and famous. So what are you going to do?
Right. Well, he just chimed in. Since after the Ohio State game, he's going to save it. I don't blame him. All right, man. Well, since we're on the hour mark, I'll let you get back to Papa Hood and take care of that beautiful baby of yours. But thanks so much for making the time to join me as always, man. We'll do this again real soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Anytime, brother. Be good. All right, folks, that will do it for us. Another week of Indy Sports Nation. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy day to join, whether it was live or on the replay. Thank you so very much. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the games, whether it's the hoops or the conference championships you're tuning into, or all of the above. So we will see you back here next week, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Big Mike signing off. Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great weekend, everybody.